everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. I am your host, the purveyor of all things dorky within the scope of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. I am Grum, and I am coming to you live from the inside of a 2012 Ford Edge that I call my own. That's right. I'm big baller status. Good to have you guys. My voice sounds off is because last night, as I record this, I was at the Sixers game, and I was yelling feverishly, ferociously in favor of my Philadelphia 76ers, who lost. But I wanted to be known, I did not leave until the game was over, made sure Nikola Jokic did not end up with two good free throws. I don't know what I got much to do. Not much of it, not too much to update y'all on. Phase 1, last couple episodes, going to be recorded in the next 2 weeks, and then we're going to start getting prepared to do the video podcasts. Yeah. I'm not sure how I want to do it just yet. I do know. It's just a matter of being more attentive when doing these podcasts. Because it's normally, I hope you guys get the feeling of it, of like just a group of friends sitting down and bullshitting. And that's the aim, right? Is I just want to hit record. And that's what we do, right? We loosely follow a guideline, an outline of sorts, and then we just bullshit, right? But with the video podcast, it becomes a little bit more of a production. I go from having to be able to sit back and enjoy and listen to my guests, my friends, my pals, and I have to make sure I hit buttons right. I need to make sure that, the scene has the microphone on and all that stuff is good to go. Which isn't to say I don't want to do that. It's just to say that it's a little bit of an annoyance. I'm just making sure everything's set up. And that's with everybody being on camera, right? Not everybody's going to have the capability of being on camera. If they don't want to be on camera, they don't have to be on camera. I'm not going to be like, oh, you can't be on camera, then I don't want you on. That's not the case. It's just a matter of, like, I want to take this to the next step. I want to be able to, grow this a little bit more, because we're almost, funnily enough, it is March, as I do this, March 15th. We are but 4 months away from our 1 year anniversary, or one full year of doing it. Episode 53 would be 1 year. I guess 52, right? Would be a full year. It was 52, and then the following year. I guess that's the case. I mean, fuck it, why not? Let's do 52 as like a 1 year, thing, and then 53 is a 1 year anniversary, right? We've been doing it for 1 year, and then we do it. We celebrate that we've been doing it the next week. I do have planned in August, we do a a theme month. We're going to do our first theme month. It's going to be Vince McMahon month. So every topic in August will be about Vince McMahon, because he's done a lot of stuff that has been Dorkside eligible. But yeah, this week we've got a good episode. It is myself, it is Shay, it is ThereCanOnlyBeVaughn, both of my friends from Twitch, talking about Mike Awesome, that 70s guy Mike Awesome, and his short program with the Dark Carnival, which is Vampiro and the Insane Clown Posse. And my God, the Insane Clown Posse in 2000 WCW was not good. Not good at all. But it did provide this topic for today's episode. So without further ado, myself, Shay, ThereCanOnlyBeVaughn, here on the Dark Side of the Ring podcast.
Yeah, just because we all we do know each other from Twitch, that is like a whole thing with Twitch streamers. Like, they aren't legally allowed to work at in America, like Canadians and stuff, or anyone traveling to places, they don't do it with a visa. They just go there and say, like, I did that. I've done that many times where I've streamed from America. I'm like, this is super not allowed. Like, if it was
because you were streaming.
Just because I was streaming, because technically it was your job. So like that would be considered working. And like same thing, they're independent contractors. And like they work, like I assume they would work for themselves, and they get paid. Okay, well now you're banned because you weren't there on a visa.
Is it just because like content creation like that, it just hasn't gotten to a point where they can kind of track? It's kind of unprecedented now in the last decade or so. Maybe that has something to do with it, like, or it's just like the same thing with the wrestling, probably just under the table or whatever until you end up getting caught. Apparently,
yeah. That's just wild to think about, though. Wow,
Like, I never thought about that, but everybody who travels to TwitchCon or to the PAX, events, and they're international, are breaking international laws. I'm going to strike this from this episode. We can't. We're out here ratting on our fellow content creators.
Yeah. I have admitted to breaking international podcasts.
Fuck. Just pull Mariah Carey. Like, Twitch. I don't know her.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
we gotta this. Well, or Spin Zone. This is how we unionize Twitch, so that they so when you do travel as an affiliate and a partner, you're legally allowed to do so because of work. Like, I didn't even think of that.
That was Keontae who traveled. I don't know that guy.
Yeah, I don't know Keontae.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that was Keontae, so I don't know.
Well, now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I have claimed going to Twitch Toronto as, like, I've claimed that on my tax returns.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Like I've claimed breaking international law, breaking Canadian law. So there goes that whole pipe dream of ever living in Canada.
You know what though? I have actively said I've went on business when I went to TwitchCon to like border agents. No one asked me for anything specific, but like I was there working. Like I said, I'm there for business. They were like, okay, I guess. They didn't know what I was doing. Like I told them, and they're like, okay, so this is some YouTube shit. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, good enough. And they didn't care. So,
well, yeah, because to them, you're not breaking or whatever. You're not.
It's not a real job.
It's not a real job. You can't break the law. But you very well could. You very much are technically breaking the law. That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, they call me the bad boy of live streaming. That's
well, they called Keontae the bad boy of
I don't know that guy though. That guy, yeah.
Keontae once said, Twitch partner Keontae once said, "Fuck affiliates." By the way, I want.
He did say that.
I remember that era.
He said that publicly on front page of Twitch.
So fun fact. So Keontae, you know this. Vaughn, I think you know. I do Grand Theft Auto roleplay. The other day we were doing like a community like day for our roleplay server Tilly.tv, and we're walking across the mall. Like we're set up and we're in this mall, and basically it's just like goof around for 45 minutes. And I have made a skin of Keontae. Like I made a Grand Theft Auto ped look and dress like Keontae. And the entire bit is he introduces himself going, "Hi, I'm Twitch partner Keontae. You look like an affiliate. Fuck you." And then walks away.
Okay,
my God.
First off, how have I never heard of this? How did I not know? Wait,
I think
maybe I did.
Citra might have it on. There might be a VOD on Citra's stream of me doing it. It's just me going around and, "Hi, I'm partnered streamer Keontae. You look like an affiliate. Fuck you." And then just walk away.
But that's so much better.
The bit is going to be, "I'm robbing this person because they're a Twitch affiliate. Fuck him." And now that you're no longer since Keontae went away, I don't know where he went. He can't ever get angry at that bit.
No, and it's way. Honestly, I think it's funnier that he's just disappeared from the world, because now it's just like you can technically say anything, like as Keontae now, right? You can post anything, really. Trust me, Tumble has been doing that publicly for years.
Even when Keontae was around.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here on the dork side of the ring. We are here with two hysterical friends of mine from Twitch.tv. We hold on, I gotta do the alphabetical order here. It's throwing me off because normally
Keontae was around. Keontae's not around, but then there's also the LMNOP, QRS. We got Shay, and there can only be Vaughn. There we go. I figured it out. I just had to say the alphabet out loud. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Hell yeah. We'll start, as we always do, with introductions, as one does, introducing themselves to new people. We'll start with Shay. Shay, let the people know a little bit about yourself, where they can find you, what things you work on, and such. Floor is yours.
Oh, what do I work on? Man, I don't work on anything. I've been away for a while, to be honest. I've kind of been MIA from the world of content for a bit. Just been working at EA, so been doing that. And I'm actually, weirdly enough, when I was asked to come on here, I was like, you know what? This would be a good time to be like, hey, by the way, I'm kind of thinking about doing some more content creation stuff. So I guess in the future, look out for that somewhere. Where I find that, where I figure out where I'm going to put it, who knows? Probably Twitch, which is Shay. That's just Shay now instead of anything else. And then
SHAY.
SHAY. Yeah. The female spelling of it. Just because equality, I think, is the reason. And also it's my name, so that probably makes it a little bit easier for people. And then Twitter and Instagram are, I think that's IMA Shay Woods, I think. To be fair, I don't know very much about my own social. I'll be honest. I gave someone, this is a true story, and I'm taking up too much time about my introduction, but I gave this girl and I were chatting, and she asked for my socials and stuff because she was flirting, whatever.
Yeah.
Asked for my socials. And I tell her, and she added the wrong person, and I never saw her again. So if my future wife listens to this, hey, hit me up. It's I am a Shay Woods, not I'm Shay Woods. That's a different person altogether. So
yeah, I'm a Shay Woods.
I'm a Shay Woods.
I'm a Frey Woods myself. On the other side of the virtual table, we have the king of marks himself. There can only be Vaughn.
What's up, guys? What's up? The Vaughn and only, of course. I like to use these terrible puns all the time.
Good.
Just your lowly, humble content creator who has his hands in way too many things. I like to stream from time to time over on Twitch on this ever growing site called Twitch. Mainly play PlayStation games, so I'm like a trophy hunter, completionist sort of person. It's a little area of that content world that nobody touches. But other than that, I'm a huge comic book fan. I used to run my own comic shop, so on YouTube there can be only Vaughn. I post a lot of comic book content there, so if you're interested in that, and of course just a super big wrestling fan my entire life, so really excited to talk about it today, whatever the topic may be.
Oh, it's a doozy. I always say this when I have a super fan or somebody who is very knowledgeable. I think that the former tag applies to you. I literally walked into your stream yesterday, not yesterday, was that Sunday night, I think? And I was like, hey, and you were like, yo, where is Cesaro going? It was like, hey, Grum, good to see you. Where the fuck is Cesaro going? It was the feeling I'm like, all right, let's do it. Yeah. But I always try to find something a little off the beaten path to see if I can find it. And I think I found an incredible doozy, because while it is wrestling and Shay does not partake at all in the wrestling, we'll get to that in a second. There is an element that is very noticeable and is very well known. So that'll be fun to go through. But yeah, comic book. I think that's the most fun thing that getting to know the friends that you make on Twitch, and you're like, oh, you're like, yeah, we all like video games. Like, we're all here because we like video games, or we like an element of video games. And then being like, yo, like, Vaughn has a fucking drop of comics every 3 days, and it's like, yeah, what did you get? Hey, excuse me, sir, what do you got in that box there? It's just like, the collection is insane. Just going off of like just the Instagram posts, and it's like, I'm like,
I got the fortunate or unfortunate the way you look at it, because space is such a valuable commodity. But when the shop closed down, somebody had to take all the books. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll ship them around with me. So I have like 90 long boxes of comics here. I think that's just hit over 26K single issues.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I have a milk crate of comic books, and the amount of space that like that takes up is wild to me. And also how many comic books are actually in there. I think there's like 1 or 2 graphic novels, so like a thick boys, but other than that it's all single issues. And yeah.
Oh yeah, it sucks to lug it around. Those bad boys are heavy.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, but the workout, man, you're just sitting there curling. There you go. It's just,
yeah, that's true.
Man, I really need to get a workout in. Let me just read some comic books from the long box. But we're talking about you being a super fan, Vaughn. Tell us a little bit about your experience and background with professional wrestling and sports entertainment.
Yeah, sure. I always tell this story a lot when I talk about wrestling with some of the other guys in my Discord. But my first recollection of almost anything my entire life, was sitting next to my dad, and we're eating Chinese food. I must have been 2 or 3 years old, and he had the 1992 Royal Rumble on. And I remember, because he kept saying, he kept wooing and saying, hey, Ric Flair, woo, gonna win this match. And lo and behold, as history has showed us, definitely won the match, won the WWF at the time title. So from there, it was just kind of hook, line, and sinker, man. We attached to the product. My dad would just have Raw on, and we'd watch it. The Monday Night Wars happened. I was more at first a WCW guy, because as a child, you're just like, oh, Hogan, Savage, all these WWF guys over here on this program. Let me watch it. And I think at the time too, Nitro was 3 hours, so it would come on at 8. And, as a 7-year-old, I can't be up that late. So I would get to watch WCW for a little bit before Raw would come on,
Yeah.
And it just continued over the years, just kept up with it. Even in high school, I had like 1 or 2 friends that I would talk to about wrestling. But at the same time, when I was getting into sports, and, kids tend to shy away from comics and Pokemon and wrestling, focusing on sports or girls or whatnot. Nobody really wanted to talk about it. So I kind of kept to myself, but I always checked this one site. It was ewrestlingnews.com. And I was on there almost every day, just looking at the any news that would come out, and just keep up. But at the time, it was mostly WWE stuff. I didn't get into indie or keep an eye on indie or New Japan until about 2009, I would say. And then from there, I've just been kind of keeping up with everything.
I think I have this idea for like extra dork side stuff, but it's like episodes just diving in like the connection between things. Like as you were talking about, like getting older, going through high school, and like still liking wrestling, and having only a couple friends to talk, or having a couple friends almost exclusively to talk about wrestling, like so you can get that outlet. Like thinking about how much just being on the internet at that age kept like me being a fan, because I was able to still follow the product and talk to people about it like I did when I was younger. So you saying like, oh, I went to this one website and I just vacuumed up all the news until, you got 2009, where you're like, all right, like I like wrestling, and I'm going to talk about how I like wrestling.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
And on the flip side of that, Shay, self-proclaimed, knows nothing about pro wrestling. What is your experience with professional wrestling?
Okay, so first off, I'm the best who's ever done it. All right, that's just layer one, best wrestler in the world. 2, I don't know much about wrestling. My mom wouldn't let me watch wrestling as a kid. I remember that specifically, and so my best friend, who weirdly enough, his name was Shay as well, which was very confusing. And this isn't even a joke. Is actually his name was Shay. He came from. He used to be able to watch wrestling all the time, and he had like this stuffed snowmobile suit just filled with pillows. and we would just do wrestling moves on that so we wouldn't hurt each other. And like it was wild. Like we'd take that thing to the second floor and jump out of windows into snowbanks with it. We would like jump on. We'd do it with trampolines. Like it was so dangerous. The things we would do to that suit. But so I used to watch very little amounts. Like I kind of, and I think the general knowledge of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Rock, Rey Mysterio. I think that's his name. Like that's the Booker T. Like those are the people I remember. As far as like knowing storylines, that was never something I ever got. And I was terrified of Kane as a child. It was the scariest dude I've ever seen. Like I honestly, to this day, I still specifically remember them trying to take his mask off or something. And it freaked me out and I wouldn't watch it. Aside from that, like, there's small amounts. Like now I work with, the UFC at my job. So, I deal with wrestling, like wrestling fans in a sense, a little bit different wrestling, but still wrestling. And yeah. Oh, and I have a weird fact about wrestling though, is that I went to the same high school as Chris Jericho. And that was in our school's orientation when I first started.
Wow.
They were like, go find Chris Jericho's face, like picture on the wall, like in like the graduation photos. I was like, this is the weirdest school ever. I'm excited. But yeah, not a ton. I just know like the kind of the main points. Like you guys were talking about WCW, and I was like, that's something I should probably know. Here we are.
But yeah, fuck. Sorry. So next week's episode that comes out, we're recording this on the 3rd. What would that be? The 7th of March is Metric Seconds and MD 14, who does the Twitch Toronto meetups, organizes them. Metric went to the same high school that Adam Copeland, aka Edge, attended, and they had a very similar like, hey, we're the high school that Edge and Christian went to. Like,
yeah, what is with like schools thinking that's? I mean, okay, to be fair, I think that is kind of cool. It is cool. I'm not denying that. I was about to like almost besmirch wrestling fans for a moment, but I don't mean it. It was more just like I was like, who cares? In my head, I was like, who cares? Like, I wouldn't care if there was like a hockey player who went there or like something that I was a fan of. And then I realized that I'm talking out of my ass because I absolutely talk about a hockey player who went to my school all the time. So clearly, it's just that I wasn't a fan of hockey. It wasn't a fan of wrestling or didn't grow up with it. It wasn't as important to me. That being said, I got more into Chris Jericho just because he was like that fame. Soul. Yeah, that fame. And then I'm pretty sure one of my like old viewers goes on like I think it's the Jericho cruise. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah.
He goes to, he loves Chris Jericho. So he would always tell me about him. And I was like, that's cool, man. Hell yeah. Like, hell yeah, go on this cruise. And I was like, I don't know anything about this, but hell yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame Chris Jericho is a scumbag person as a person. But like, that's just
this is news to me, but it does not surprise me if he's from Winnipeg. I mean, let's be real here.
I mean, his wife attended the January 6th Capitol riots.
Yikes.
Oh yeah, that is a.
Also, wasn't he one of the first public figures that had like a concert where like nobody was required to have a mask way before
in 2020?
Yeah, in 2020. Yeah.
Like you're taking like rural Canada and mixing it. I don't know where his wife's from, but I'm assuming like rural America.
I think she's from. I think they're like high school sweethearts.
Oh, then you're taking rural Canada. Like I should remind you, and we don't need to get political here at all. It's just really funny. It's like these are the same people who would go to the trucker rallies in Ottawa and like stop people from going to work. Like it's shit like that. It does not surprise me at all that he's a scumbag.
Look, like I said, Shay, I just need a couple more. If I had gotten the stimulus checks at the rate that they were promised, I would have bought Manitoba, and we were going to call it. I would have revamped Manitoba, made it the slowly take over Canada from our Manitobian headquarters.
Gave it a better name, maybe that doesn't sound really lame. Like no one should ever be known as a Winnipegger. Let me tell you that right now. No one should have that.
You know who's also a Winnipegger, who's also in wrestling, is Kenny Omega.
Yes,
which I was going to bring up if you knew those two names, because they're both from Winnipeg.
I
Chris
do.
Jericho and Kenny.
Weirdly enough, I do know Kenny Omega, and I swear I know where did he go to. I swear I know where he went to school too. But there's a whole thing there. I'm pretty sure at one point, this was like way back. Maybe I'm wrong. I swear that I accidentally ran into like one of his like shows back, but I might be totally wrong. I just do remember a lot of people talking about Kenny Omega. So I did know the name, but like anything more? Oh no.
How big is Winnipeg?
It's about like 7 or 8 people, roughly.
Okay,
give or take. Give or take if Chris Jericho's
school, there. And I'm like thinking in my head, like most people have never heard of Manitoba, Winnipeg, whatever. How is there multiple schools in said?
Yeah, it's like 850,000 to 900,000 right now in Winnipeg. Okay. It's the capital of Manitoba, which isn't saying much, but it's like me saying I was the biggest streamer in Winnipeg. Like I was like, that's a feat.
No, I think it was that other guy that's also from there that we didn't know nothing about.
No, yeah, Keontae was the biggest streamer from Winnipeg.
Yeah, but he's also like, I mean, he was also at the January 6 riots. That guy. That guy's a scumbag.
He ran Twitch Manitoba and then just left Manitoba high and dry. Said, fuck this place. And
he went into hiding.
Went into hiding. Appeared
best in the world.
He goes by Tumble now.
Did not a fucking expect. I don't know where to go from there. So before we get to the topic of the show, of the episode, I always try to ask some contextual questions to kind of set the idea of what we're going to talk about, or maybe give you guys a couple of hints and go, all right, like, okay. To which I say, we're all elderly millennials, into our 30s, decrepit backs and everything, yada, yada, yada. Spleens constantly hurting, maybe just me. But do you remember I love the 80s, the 70s, the 90s like shows on VH1?
Yeah, it was on VH1, yeah.
Yeah. God, those are so you can't do
have
them
VH1? Now. I forgot. Yeah, you got to understand. You got to understand that VH1 wasn't a thing in Canada.
What did you guys have? Because I know you guys have like affiliates that are like that run the same programming for a lot of things. Like you don't have ESPN, but you have TSN.
TSN.
Yeah. I'm actually looking up VH1 because I'm pretty sure wasn't that not music based or was that
it
MTV?
Was music based? Yeah. So MTV VH1. And VH1. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was like we had much music.
Okay.
Much music, and that was super cool. Yeah, it was grammatically incorrect, but I appreciated it nonetheless.
How much music? Much music.
Much music. Yeah. How much music do you need? Much. Just much. More? Oh, we also did have a much more channel, so get ready. Yeah, you're right. I think there was actually a much more channel or like a program. Yeah, so we had much, but so we had like a similar channel though.
Yeah, gotcha. Did they show I love the 70s, 80s, 90s?
I don't think so.
Oh, you poor.
I'm looking it up now. I'll be able. I have to look this up just in case.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I literally maybe a couple months ago I was in the mood for just like some pop culture knowledge, and I remember they did the I Love the 80s, and then they did a second one, I Love the 80s Strikes Back,
Yeah.
You know? And I went to go look it up on YouTube, and whoever ported that over didn't upres the quality. So of course you're watching a show from 2005 that's like in the shittiest quality ever. This is unwatchable.
Fucking 42 by 42 resolution.
Oh, the worst.
I'm just like, those shows were great. I think I love it was very much like, nowadays is when you're doing the I Love the 2000s one. Like, I remember they made a big deal of the I Love the 90s series that they did. And me being like born in 92, I'm going, okay, cool. Like, you know, I don't remember that. That's cool. That's cool that happened. That's cool. And then they're like 1997. The Undertaker threw Mankind off the fucking cell, and I'm like, I remember that. That's when I remember being an adult, or not an adult, but like a human being. I became a man that day. So Keontae became a man when he first touched a boob at age 32.
Yeah, roughly. I mean, we're still waiting on it, but
but I became a man when Undertaker threw another man off of a 16-foot tall cell, not once but twice. But yeah, like, and I'm like, yes, I remember. Now we're getting to the things that I remember, and that was the only thing I remembered from the whole series, because they like just didn't talk about, like, you know, cartoons, because they're talking about like when you were a high schooler and young adult during that time, not when you're fucking 7 years old and going like, I finally stopped peeing the bed, let me go watch Rugrats now.
yeah, or like, I'm gonna continue peeing the bed, but also I want to watch Mankind be thrown. I do remember that. I remember watching that specific wrestling match. Probably not the live version for sure, but you know, the highlights, right? Those were sports highlights forever. And
Still
I think
is to this day.
Yeah, that's like a
that era.
historic moment. I mean, I don't know if like how much of a pathetic person you are that you're on Reddit every day like me, but there is a comment like there's a meme that you post where it's like explaining something to people, and it's this really long, like, anytime you'll see it in comments where they're like, oh yeah, this blah blah blah, this is how you do it, and then halfway through it switches to like, when I was a kid watching Mankind get thrown through the hell of the cell, and it's one of my favorite little bits because I always fall for it, like, every time.
I'm not on Reddit every day, but I'm on Reddit enough, where like sometimes I'll see that and I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. Hey, that's my thing. That's the wrestling thing. I like wrestling.
I know that. Yeah.
It's like, you just want to be like, oh, I understood that reference. But you know, I feel like Doug Benson was on those shows. Like, that's where he just made his living. They're like, hey, Doug, get high and talk about the 80s. Gotcha, don't worry.
It's all these comedians that like nobody kind of knows because they only stay on reality TV networks. Deep Cut, though, Jericho was on one of the I Love the 2000s, I think, when he took his first break from WWE, like 2006, 2007 time frame. He was on that show, too.
Oh, man, he's selling that, too. That's great. Sully's Manitoba, Sully's professional wrestling.
You know what? There's no longer him in the orientation. I'll tell you that much. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's now he's a key figure of it. Who knows?
You go back to the school and like just take the photo down without anyone knowing.
Yeah.
I like the idea of going into a high school at my age without anyone knowing, with not knowing anyone else who works there, and just don't mind me, sir. Can you please leave? You're making the children uncomfortable.
Yeah. I just have to remove this guy's face. Hold on.
Yeah, I just need Chris Jericho out of here. It's like, sir, you are now multiple TikToks of you being weird in a school.
You go viral.
What's your name, sir? Keontae. My name's Keontae, I swear.
Found. Twitch partner streamer Keontae still says fuck affiliates as he's there's a clip of a guy getting put in the back of a squad car, and he's wearing a Philadelphia Eagles hat, and they're like, "You have anything to say?" And like he's getting walking, he goes like, "Go Eagles." That's your thing.
As one does.
As you're getting arrested for trespassing at a school and being weird at your old school, sir, do you have anything to say for yourself? Fuck affiliates, and then just right in the back of the squad car.
The only other thing I would yell out right after that is please subscribe using Twitch Prime just for that free money. You know what I mean? Like that's the only. There's two things I would ever yell out, and it's really both of those.
Fuck affiliates, sub to me with your Prime.
Yeah. I mean, Chianti, obviously Chianti.
Yeah, Chianti, obviously.
Yeah.
Sub to Chianti. Twitch.tv/Chianti. It's a shame you can't buy that domain and just have it redirect somewhere.
Oh, I know. That'd be great.
But you could probably get the domain to Twitch and then .tv. Like DOT.tv.
Oh,
maybe.
I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe.
Who has the time?
Might be
you know?
a lot of people. A lot of people.
A lot of people have time. Okay, yeah.
I mean, we have friends who have mommymilkers.com and
That's true.
And my gym shorts.
That's true. They what I've learned from those friends is we spend an exorbitant amount of money wasting it on domain names.
So bad. So bad. But yeah, so like I brought that up because that does have to do. The other thing, I think was featured in like would absolutely be featured in like a redoing of the 90s. Are you guys familiar with ICP?
Hatchet, chop, chop. Any juggalos in the army? House. Woo woo. Sorry, I can keep going. Do you need more quotes from ICP?
Are you a juggalo? Were you a juggalo?
I'm wearing my makeup as we speak. All right, that's why I thought this was a video podcast. I wore my makeup and everything. No, I do know. Weirdly enough, this is so weird that you bring this up, just because. No, but back when I was
okay, good. Whew.
But when I first started out as a streamer, like my branding was a thing called like Surfs Up, and we used to joke about it in Counter-Strike lobbies. Me and my friends would be like, "Surfs Up, any juggalos in the house? Whoop, whoop, hatchet, chop, chop." And forever that's been ingrained in my mind. And I don't know why. It's the stupidest thing ever. But then we just started learning like the titles of Insane Clown Posse songs just so we could like annoy people with just knowledge of them. But I've never actually listened to a single song of theirs.
The only song that I know of theirs is that they made a Chris Benoit song, didn't they?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. Talk about these. And it's weird too, because like a lot of so they had like the Gathering of the Juggalos, but they'd have actual wrestling matches there. So like it's this weird like music festival where it's only like their type of music, but also professional wrestling happening. So occasionally they would be on like some podcasts, that wrestlers were doing, specifically The Art of Wrestling, like from Colt Cabana, and like you listen to them talking, they're just like normal dudes who are like, at the time, like they were not as they weren't as like conservative minded as you would think they were. Like, they were pretty much, very much like, y'all. There's no like somehow the topic of being gay would come up, and they're like, yeah, who's got a problem with if you got a problem with being gay, you're not welcomed here. It's like, wait, what? The Gathering of the Juggalos is LGBTQ friendly? No one would have thought this. Like, if you guys didn't say anything, no one would think this, because you just look at, their music and you're like, they're rapping about Chris Benoit and rapping about the drink Fagio. Like,
yeah, they definitely, the term vibe is really useful for ICP. Like, and it's like, don't judge a book by its cover, but like they give off just a bigot vibe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, them and Eminem fans are about the same, right? Where you're just like,
oh,
ooh.
God.
Like you just think, yeah, like you just, and then they drop like something, yeah, and then they say something completely opposite of what your thoughts are, and then you really rethink your life.
I want to go back to Vaughn's "Oh God" when I brought up Eminem fans. Sounds like there's something to unpack there.
No, I just thought it was funny to put him in the same circle as ICP fans.
I'd say in terms of lyrics, identical in every way, and in terms of master of words, the same. All right. If anyone wants to talk to me about this post podcast, you can find me at twitch.tv/Keontae specifically.
And at Keontae on Twitter and Instagram.
You know, at me, it's Tumble, twitch.tv/Tumble. Is it Tumble? I don't know.
I believe it's Tumbledore. He finally got rid of he got what he wanted for a while. Yeah. I got the same time. The same time. Apparently, fun story. The day I dropped the 6-1 from T-Grum, because it used to be T-Grum 61, dropped it. He went to go get Tumbledore because it was like the first day that they had released a bunch of things. I don't know which mod it was, but one of his mods took it. Out from under. So he was like very upset that day. He's like, what the and I'm like, that's an incredible prank. It also, it guarantees that they get it as soon as they change it in 3 months. But also, like, wow, that's a hell of a prank. Hell of a fucking prank.
I mean, to be fair, I'm just sad I wasn't the one to do it.
Right, yeah, it was somebody was going to do it. Right? Somebody was, because everybody knew that Tumble wanted to be Tumbledore for the longest time, and
he was very upset about it. Like, he was truly upset about it. And I was like, man, if I just wish I was the one that you would be upset about at it. Like, I wish I did it just because I wouldn't have cared. It would have been funny to me still.
Yeah, it's just branding. That's it. It's just branding.
Who needs it?
Who needs branding nowadays? We've got. You can just go and become a Twitter personality with and then you're like, fuck, well, now I have to use my Twitter and it's at SaucyTits32, and you're like, well, that's my brand now, Saucy Tits.
Yeah, that's weird you call it my OnlyFans page with that's the exact title of my OnlyFans page.
Mine's BFast at Harambe's. So. You think I'm joking? Go to onlyfans.com/BFast at Harambe's. And I'm not joking. That's my.
I should do this only with my work computer, right?
Yes, only do it with your work computer.
Good.
But yeah, I'll let you. Well, I'll just fill some time while you do that, Keontae, because I know you want to do it. You're doing
Wait,
it.
it's B fast?
B fast, like breakfast, but without the REAK. So it's B fast. So the story behind that, I had just T-Grum 61 for like a Xbox gamer tag for the longest time, and then I wanted to change it, and a group of us were playing like Rainbow Six Siege, and we were all, and this is around the time Harambe was taken from us. But we just put Harambe in movie titles. So there was Air Force Harambe, there was Jurassic Harambe, Eat Pray Harambe. What else was there? Free Harambe, like Free Willy. And then Die Hard 2, Die Harambe.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the one. That's the winner.
And then mine, I'm like, oh, dude, breakfast at Harambe's, like breakfast at Tiffany's, because then you can do the song. And I said, what about breakfast at Harambe's? She said, all that stuff. But it didn't fit. Breakfast at Harambe's did not fit. Somehow, Die Hard 2, Die Harambe are fit, but I don't understand how. Breakfast at Harambe's.
You can keep repeating that, and I will just die laughing.
Die Harambe. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, so then that became, and it's to this day still my Xbox Microsoft gamer tag. So like we'll be playing like for a while I was playing Halo Infinite through the Xbox app, and so I'm playing the game and you just see BFast at Harambe's, and I would get like messages from people like, your name's hilarious, and I'm like, thanks. Because like some people will be like, oh, breakfast at Harambe's. And they're like, "Do you eat Harambe at breakfast at Harambe's?" It's like, no, we don't. All proceeds at the diner of Harambe's goes to gorilla wildlife reservations.
I will say this.
Yes.
Why can't I subscribe immediately? It's not fair.
There's one photo, and it's literally the photo you can see.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
It's from when I did Manchester Monday.
Oh, perfect. It's a great, I the good times.
Great times. Old bits. They don't die. They just go away for a little bit. Much like...
As a person who's never been on OnlyFans, when did they ever change? When did they change their logo?
I was going to say. I typed in the stuff and I was like, well, this is clearly a fake website because this doesn't look like an OnlyFans page. This looks like a courier. Like this looks like a FedEx logo, and I have
That's
no
what I
idea.
thought it was.
It's like, oh, cool. They deliver now. Like that's pretty sweet. They'll deliver tit pics to my house like through post. Wow,
they got to get to their fans somihow.
They're just going like retro. They have a retro logo now, so now you just like mail you Polaroids.
There might be a market in that. I'm just saying.
OnlyFans by post. Honestly, yeah, like a subscription box. I'll sell like my asshole for like they'll send to like a subscription box.
You just sign up and it's a mystery box, and inside it will guarantee one nude, but we won't guarantee from who. Like,
oh, I love that idea. To the point of I would probably like buy it for a month just for the sake of like it's like an OnlyFans subscription box where they only one nude, but then of a random creator, but then there's like a bunch of other ones that are just bad, like just real bad, and you have to hope that you got a good one, like it's booster packs.
No, it's like a mystery box.
Yeah. It's a mystery box. In it, there's one nude. Cannot confirm where it's coming from. But you are by signing off. It's not a crime. Then you also get like a workout advice from like one of the rare like non-porn fitness creators on OnlyFans. Is like, no, here's your month workout. You also get a membership to a different creator, but they don't do nudes.
Oh yeah, this is really just like OnlyFans, the trading card game, where it's just like you can. Oh man, I got a clothes one.
And then an 8x10, and then an 8x10 signed by another creator. It could be a nude. Like it might be a nude, but it also could just be me wearing a t-shirt and jeans doing a thumbs up. Like,
just thinking of holographic nudes now.
I was gonna say chrome nudes.
Chrome, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Hey everybody, T-Grum here. We got our unboxing of our OnlyFans box. I'm really excited. It's a great subscription-based model. So basically what you do is you go to OnlyFansMystery.com, and what you can do is you get a bunch of you get this box. It's not that big of a box, and it's a sturdy box. And inside might be another picture of a different kind of box.
I just like the idea of I'm imagining the top down like unboxing videos where like the person's wearing white gloves like as if they're important and you're not just gonna jerk off to these later.
You got to do
be sure to use code TUMBLE for 10% off your first mystery box.
Yeah, no. But then the funny thing is, right? Like, so you know how like during the unboxings they play with the thing that they get like, wow, like look at this toy, like this is. So it's like, man, that's an ass, and those are balls. Nice.
What a python on that motherfucker,
eh? Let's see what else we have. Oh, sweet! I needed this for my collection. It's so and so, it's her. She released 12 ones for each month of the year, and they went out and she stopped doing them because it wasn't making her enough money on her OnlyFans. So these are kind of discontinued, very rare, like
this is an absolutely stellar idea. I just want to make that very clear. Like I'm not even lying. This is a funny idea. This is a great idea. OnlyFans is going to do this now that they've changed their logo to a courier. This is like, now that they're a post office, this can work.
I feel like this is one of those like, if I had the time to do so, and I didn't work a full-time blue-collar job, this is where I do a YouTube skit, and it'd be out later this week of like,
exactly.
like, all right, cool, here we go. Maybe this will get to somebody who does do that, and they're like, that's a funny idea. Let me do that. But can I segue that? Hold on, pause. I'm going to try to segue this back to what we were talking about. Okay, here we go. All right. Our topic for today is like a mystery box in and of itself. Is that I'm telling you that there are at least the Insane Clown Posse in here. In what we're watching. Also, what's in this could be somebody killing an Insane Clown Posse member. Who knows? We're going to have to watch it to find out. But what we're going to watch is from the year 2000, WCW, the setting. The fall of 2000, Mike Awesome, who was a world-renowned international superstar, independent wrestler, signed with WCW in the spring, became known as the career killer Mike Awesome. A month later became the fat chick thriller Mike Awesome. And a month later after that became that 70s guy, Mike Awesome. He found himself in the pranking eyes of the Dark Carnival, which is Vampiro and the Insane Clown Posse as a group. And what we're going to see is their little spat that they had over the course of a couple weeks. So we'll be back here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast right after this.
Hey, baby, this is the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes here with a little bit of a advertisement for a little Grum.tv content. Let me tell you a little bit about support.grum.tv. It is the Patreon. You want to support this financially if you so choose to. You may do so at support.grum.tv. Go on there. For as low as $1, you can help support the content that Grum is making, such as Dork Side of the Ring live streams in the Discord, where you can find at grum.tv. And you can also find YouTube videos to help him do that. You can fund that. Help him make some money off this content. Who knows where we go? You go for $1, $5. $5 gets you early access to episodes and videos. It also gets you speaking permission during live streams. You go also, and here's the thing: $10, baby, you get exclusive Dorkside content like this thing right here.
Dropping that big elbow across the back of the neck.
He's got a very big elbow.
Yeah, seriously. One of his elbows is like the size of one of my butt cheeks. Maybe
Whipping
both combined.
Takes it to the chin. That's like taking one of your butt cheeks to the chin. Yeah, but I don't think your butt cheeks combined. I don't think both butt cheeks combined are throwing your man Hulk Hogan size in the air. And then,
you don't know that, Grum.
You're right. That's fair. That is fair.
Don't underestimate her butt cheeks.
That's right, baby. From the episode 18, the Yeti. Ooh, yeah, the Yeti. My Grum and It's Only Jill and Mop Garden hanging out, have a good time watching the giant Hulk Hogan go at it. Go right up to the Yeti, baby. But yeah, all that is at support.grum.tv. I am Dusty Rhodes, and I am telling you to keep supporting as you so choose here. We'll go back here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. Here we are. What's up behind the Gilbo, baby?
Love it.
Back here on the Dork Side of the Ring. First impressions, we'll start with you, Shay, of Mike Awesome and his feud with the Dark Carnival, Vampiro and the Insane Clown Posse.
Cocaine Man and the Clowns was pretty... honestly, I kind of love him. Like, I do. I like what he's wearing. I like the 70s look. It's fashionable now. And it just reminded me that, like we talked about this, like, how it's insane to me that you would just let rappers who enjoy wrestling wrestle professionally against someone. Like, the choreography looked like it was wrong. Like something bad happened there. Like there were so many times I was like, something's gonna go wrong, and then it did. The guy falls off the bus, and I'm like, this guy isn't even a professional wrestler. He could get seriously injured. I thought that was insane to me.
Yeah, the sheer fact that like that's what they were doing. Like, hey, these guys who are not trained, they do it in their spare time when they're not touring. And here we're going to give them national television time. Vaughn, what about you? I subjected you to 2000's WCW, which is probably the highest crime a wrestling fan can do to another wrestling fan.
Oh, but definitely par for the course for a show called Dork Side of the Ring. Yeah, to be honest, other than Mike Awesome's initial run-in WCW, I haven't watched much of his work at all. So to see him, I had no idea he was feuding with Vampiro and ICP being in WCW. But, it just sounds like exactly the type of booking I would have done during that time period. Nobody knew what was going on. You can tell Shivani didn't care about calling that match and the Vampiro match whatsoever. Oh, what a wreck. But in a fun way. Like, in retrospect, I was like, oh, these guys, he has a beat up on the ICP? Sure, why not?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm never not going to enjoy people beating up on ICP in professional wrestling. And the thing is like, unfortunately, there was kind of more to this feud. So about a month and a half later, Mike Awesome helps a down on his luck Crowbar become a ladies' man. Then
sorry, no, you're gonna have to start again from the top on that one.
Yeah,
a down on his luck Crowbar, as in an inanimate object. No. Hold on. No, let me get this out because I'm trying without crying, laughing right now. A down on his luck inanimate crowbar.
No,
he teaches him how to love. What the fuck are you talking about right now?
No, so there's a wrestler by the name of Crowbar. Okay.
Oh,
that
makes a lot more sense. You need to explain yourself to a non-wrestling fan.
I do, but at the same time, if I did, we wouldn't have had that little. You wouldn't have had that image.
Look, I assume clowns exist. Like clowns exist in wrestling now, and vampires exist. I am not throwing out the idea that crowbars could also be a wrestler.
But Shay, I gotta get. There is an inanimate object that I do need to have you on for a future episode of Dorkside, and I'm putting you down for that episode in a month or two or something, because. There's multiples. There are multiples where people have personified things. I mean, just recently, there was an entire angle around a female wrestler's obsession with her doll Lily, who had paranormal powers.
That is, I'm pretty sure that's like a gym boss in the Pokemon series. I'm pretty sure that's Sabrina. She's a psychic gym leader, and she turns Ash and the gang into dolls. I swear to you, that's a Pokemon episode. Grum, this is a different show. That's your Pokemon podcast.
No, I'm doing. This is the Dork Side, and that happened. Vaughn, back me up. Don't tell me that you blacked that out because I may have as well.
Well, the whole Lily angle, absolutely, because Eva Marie was attached to it too. We don't talk about her.
We don't talk about Eva. No,
it's incredible. It's incredible knowledge I'm learning right now.
Inanimate objects are a thing, but now the idea of a crowbar learning how to love is very funny.
Hey, person who's gonna make a skit out of all of the shit we say, there's another one for you.
Yeah, right. Me in about a year and a half, when I have the ability and time to do that and commission somebody to do a fucking like 2.5 minute animated thing. So like Mike Awesome takes the wrestler Crowbar under his wing. Now Crowbar had kind of been in this weird like love triangle thing with Daphne and Ric Flair's son David Flair, and he liked Daphne, and then David Flair was marrying Stacy Keibler, and Daphne was kind of upset about that, and he was like, "Don't worry, Daphne, like you still got me," like friend zone kind of shit. And then she goes and finds a new boyfriend, and her new boyfriend is just a taller version of Crowbar. Like the guy looks exactly like him, but he's about 5 inches taller. And he's just like down bad, historically bad. He's like, I lost out. She found, not only did she find another guy like me, he's taller. He looks exactly like me, but he's taller. And then Mike Austin's like, hey, brother, it's not that bad. Come with me. Like, I'll turn your luck around. And like 2 weeks pass, and like Crowbar now is dressing like a 70s disco star. He's got women on all of his arms. And then they're like, hey, Crowbar, you have a match. You got a match. No one told you? He's like, no one told me. So he goes to the ring, and then Vampiro comes back and literally puts the boots to him. Like, beats his ass for fucking 10 minutes. And Vampiro's like, Mike Austin, that's because you hurt me. And then they have like a match at the pay-per-view, and it just doesn't mean anything. So I'm like, I'm not going to include that. Who needs that extra 15 minutes of content? That no one needs all that shit.
Wow.
Though I would have liked to see who Crowbar is.
I'll show you a picture of him. He's
I guess I probably Google that. Hey.
Yeah, Crowbar WCW. Look,
who randomly appeared on an episode of AEW Dark last year.
Yeah. Here he is. He's very grungy. He is.
Yeah. I'm looking at pictures. This asshole is holding rebar, not a crowbar. Now I'm even more furious than I've ever. Like, this thing is I don't know.
There's this one where he's holding a pipe.
What is that? Yeah,
That's
he's holding
pipe.
Okay, so why is his name not Pipe? Like, come on, theme it. I know enough about wrestling. If I'm going to be called Crowbar, I'm going to go out with a crowbar every time.
Here's the reason why. So here's the reason why. Okay, because David Flair, the three of them were like a group kind of, and David Flair would use a crowbar. So the idea was they banned his crowbar from a match one time, and he's like, no matter where I go, I always have my crowbar. And like Daphne's like, don't worry, you'll have your crowbar, don't worry. And then like he shows up and then attacks. He helps him win the match, and he's introduced by Daphne and David Flair going on some fucking weird ass like road trip adventure, and he comes up to them as a weirdo at a gas station, and they're like, we like you. You want to go with us? And he gets in the car.
I see. Okay, so it's the idea that it's banned, but his name's Crowbar, so now I have a crowbar. Okay.
Yeah.
That's adorable. That's cute. I like that.
It is it's one of the like it's fun to it's one of those like bad 2000s WCW is regarded universally as like the worst year in wrestling for a single company, and that's saying something because like TNA has had multiple bad years, because they at one point they stripped every champion and started over, and then did it again. Like they're like, we're going with a clean slate here. Everybody, no champions, all this stuff, and they pit like the rich established people like Hulk Hogan and Sting and Lex Luger against the young new blood, but they made the new blood be bad guys for some reason. So like they had a guy who was was a very well-known cruiserweight wrestler who was under 200 pounds soaking wet. Billy Kidman like fight Hulk Hogan, but he wasn't Hulk Hogan, he was Terry Bollea. Like
this is like that is the year that everyone thinks of wrestling. Like I hope wrestling fans know that. Like when people who do not understand wrestling think of wrestling, I'm fairly certain they think of that 1 year. Like, oh, that's insanity to me.
It is like it's like, and it's also weird because by the like that whole year, Stone Cold Steve Austin's not around. Stone Cold Steve Austin's getting surgery on his neck. All of most of 2000, he's gone from, was that November 99 till about like October 2000?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, like he's just gone the whole time. It's just very funny that it's like 2000. That's the year. That's the best year in wrestling. It's like, it's really not. It's objectively like a bad year because there's no Stone Cold. The Rock is like kind of hanging around, dipping his toe and maybe getting into Hollywood stuff. I think he missed some time to go to.
He was Scorpion King for a while.
Well, maybe that was 2000. That was 2001. He did that. He had left to go.
That was for Scorpion King, but in 2000 he did leave to do the Mummy 2.
I thought that was 2001. I thought that was after. Maybe it was 2000. Oh yeah, that was. So he did 2000, and then 2001 was the press tour for it. That's right. Where he wasn't around a little bit. Yeah, so it's funny to be like, yeah, no, 2000 is when non-wrestling fans think of the year like wrestling. It's like, yeah, that's when people would fall out. Like, I don't want to watch wrestling anymore. Look what we just like, And you said it was funny. You had said, Vaughn, we were talking about it during the thing. Was like, this is the stuff that like casual fans will see and be like, that's wrestling. Like, this is what you watch, and it's like, no, we don't. It's good most of the time. This is bad. But
Every time I try to get somebody new to watch wrestling, just to check it out, it just always happens to be some bullshit angle or stipulation like this, and people are like, "Oh, never mind, I won't watch it." Like, no, but the best match is coming on next.
What
I can't win.
Yeah, like I think I've done a pretty good job since the pandemic started. A content creator that I like left a big organization because they did some incredibly racist bullshit, and he's like, I'm out, fuck this place. Started his own Patreon, opened up his own Discord, started streaming on Twitch, and like I think it was Royal Rumble 2021, where I'm like, hey, like I'm gonna host. I'll put this all on. I'll host it in the Discord if you guys want to watch. Like, I'll be watching it, and like people funnel in like, this is amazing shit, and I'm like, oh, well, if you think that's cool, you should see this, or you should see that, and it's like, oh wow, like this is where the Dork Side of the Ring like really came up, is like me showing non-wrestling fans like things that I find like objectively hilarious, and when they go, can you explain that? I go, not really, no. Like, I can't explain. Like right before this, I was on a friend's podcast. He was like, hey, can you jump on for like 15, 20 minutes? And they're like, hey, what are you recording tonight? And I told them, and they're like, what? I was like, yeah, Mike Awesome versus, ICP. And they're like, no, you have to run that back. ICP is an Insane Clown Posse. I said, yeah. And they're like, what the fuck? And they're wrestling fans, but they're like, a little younger. So they're like, what the fuck? No. And I'm like, yes, very much. Like the very same. The Insane Clown Posse, the Juggalos, yes. But like I just find it's fun to show this worse, the objectively worst aspects of professional wrestling, which is, what we just watched, the 15 minutes that we watched. Like, because we could show Shay the 60-minute match between, Dan O'Brien and Adam Page. And I'm sure Shay would be like, wow, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
but
then I wouldn't be able to see vampire clowns and a guy doing cocaine in a bus fight. Like that's what I miss out on, right? I would miss the option of seeing something absolutely hysterical than seeing something that's like well done. Like in a weird way.
Yeah, we saw a guy from the 70s do a rail of cocaine and then throw Guy Fieri and clown makeup off of the roof of a, or off of the hood of a bus, and then powerbomb his clown friend on the top so hard that he slid off.
Yeah, you can't.
And then,
can't make that. Like you can't make that up. That happened. That happened in real life.
I still can't get over it.
And I guarantee you, whatever the rating was for that show is miles ahead of whatever is happening in for today's product.
Mm-hmm.
Just because so many people were watching wrestling then.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And I still can't get over the fact that, like, because I forgot the key word of the wrestler crowbar, you thought Mike Awesome befriended an inanimate object and told him that he'd get it laid.
I wasn't throwing it out of the question. I mean, this is the same industry that made an entire movie about, I'm not wrestling, but the show business that made an entire movie about what, let's take a dead guy on vacation. Okay. Like there's some fucking weird movies out there that are great hits.
What if I told you that this year, in about a month from now, a dead man will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame?
A dead man would be inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Like he's fully alive, but his gimmick was he was a dead man. Look, it's wrestling. They induct a dead person almost every year. So
this is so fun. Like just using the exact verbiage that you use to explain this to Shay, and he's just like formulating this in his head. Like, huh?
Like, I mean, a dead guy, sure, it does happen. There's, you get rewards, after your death, whatever, not a problem. Oh, no, sorry. No. The person is alive. He is a dead man.
He portrayed a dead man.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that to me is hysterical. That's hilarious. And I just assume that he wears just kind of a white sheet over his body, like as a goat. Like he just did the two
in his off time. Yes, he does wear a white sheet, or almost a white sheet. Practically the modern take on the white sheet. But
oh shit!
I was about to say, I was like, I don't know if we're going down this path, but I feel we should. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So it's the Undertaker, who famously never did any like behind the scenes like interviews or anything, and then when he decided to retire, they like released this like I think it was a 5-part series chronicling the last couple years of his career. And where he's like, hey, I'm ready to have like some cameras follow me around and, film my process of, preparing for my last match, having my last match, and then afterwards. And then it just turned into this like, man, I fucking sucked that match. I can't be like that bad. I can't go out like that. So then he goes and does it all over again. He gets in good shape. He gets a little surgery here and there. And then he's doing good. He's like, all right, this is going to be the last one. And then he has an absolute fucking stinker of a match.
It's literally like watching The Wrestler over again.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that, Shay?
I have. Yeah, that's I have seen The Wrestler. Wait, hold on. Let me just make sure. That's the one with
Mickey Rourke.
What's his? Yeah, Mickey Rourke. Yeah, I have seen it.
Yeah, so it's almost exactly like that, where he's just chasing he's like, that's not the one I want to go out on.
I see. Yeah. So funny enough, I never knew the Undertaker was supposed to was dead. How I just always assumed he was playing the role of a legitimate Undertaker. And never knew that he was that was a gimmick. That makes it funnier to me. That I'm sure though if I've watched any wrestling, it would be The Rock, like Steve Austin, Undertaker, obviously, right? That's like most anyone who's ever watched like wrestling probably knows those. So that's wild to me that's the gimmick. How that never is explained to a casual person. I've only ever known him as like, oh, he just like he works at a graveyard. That's okay, cool. Like, that's his day job. I'm the
Undertaker. Yes.
Yeah,
me. I also work at a cemetery. I am the Undertaker. Induct me in the Hall of Fame. I'm far less problematic. But So and Vaughn, chime in with your like just the backstory of it a little bit, but like finding out that the Undertaker was like a dead character to me it probably was like a little later, because when I got into wrestling, he wasn't dead. He was like kind of satanic. And then he came back from being injured and became a bike riding, tobacco chewing, like ass kicker. And then he got buried alive. And then he was dead again.
Dead, alive, dead, alive, dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, he debuted, he was dead. Like they paid, so he came into WWE and they made his face like pale, and like they gave him like sunken purple eyeshadow, so his eyes look like decrepit.
And not only that, it was like almost like yellowing too. Like his
Yeah.
entire face looked like it was bruised almost.
And like he comes in and they're like, dude, who is this guy? And like at the time of his debut, his manager was a very over the top, like Baptist, like inspired preacher called Brother Love, whose face is like tomato sauce red. So and he's wearing a white and red suit, and like the Undertaker is dressed in black with a black and gray tie, and his like shirt is like torn up, but like in a very clean way. And like it could not be, it absolutely just didn't fit. And then they're like, hey, we need somebody to be his like manager though. Like he can't talk. Like it ruins the entire presentation. And then they're like, hey, what about this guy? He's a manager and he's not doing anything. And they bring him in for an interview and whatnot. And they're like, hey, so you got any fun facts? He's like, yeah, I'm a licensed mortician. And they're like, excuse me? He goes, yeah, I'm a funeral director. So like I can that's what I do in my in my day job. And they're like, excuse me? You realize you're interviewing to be the manager for a literal dead man. And they're like, this is perfect. This is great. And they're like, your name? Paul Bearer.
I love how ham-fisted that feels in the best way. Like
we're so clever. His name's Paul Bearer. It's so dumb.
Of course, why not? Like I feel like, but at the same time, like just storytelling wise, it makes sense. Like it's the classic. I'm terrible at writing. But there's like, it's very much like, no, just to make sure, just to add on that like really thick layer of like, look, this is him. It needs to be themed towards the Undertaker. Like I actually really enjoy that. Like it's so perfect. Such a perfect name.
And an early Taker as working as the bad guy would literally, when he had enhancement matches essentially going out there against a jobber, right? Somebody who's just there for a quick paycheck that night to make the whoever they're focused on be this big star, right? So they're obviously going to take the pin. And after he beats them, he literally brings a body bag to the ring and puts these jobbers in the body bag and then carries them away.
Okay, again, very cool to me. Like that to me, that is very cool. That sounds, yeah. That to me, I get that. I could vibe with that. I could watch that and be like, yeah, that's cool.
It gets better though. Like it gets more better, more in depth. Like he ends up feuding with Kamala, the Ugandan giant, who is a black man from Memphis. Just in tribe, they put like, what was it? It was a fucking like crescent moon and a star on his belly, and then put him in like a leopard like loincloth, and like some face paint, and they're like, yeah, he's a Ugandan, man eater. But he wrestled the Undertaker, and they like had made, at this point they had made Undertaker be a good guy, and to basically be like, hey, like how do you beat him without pinning him so that he looks better for other people to beat Kamala, the Ugandan giant? Hey, what if we put him in a fucking casket? What if that's the object of the match? Is you have to knock him out and put him in a casket and close the casket.
And that that appeals to me. I do. That's the only thing I think I remember of The Undertaker was like something about a casket and burying alive. That I know of those, like those things or those gimmicks. That is the coolest thing ever. That is awesome.
Those were
that
his trademarks.
That made me terrified of them as a kid. Because I think that's like my biggest fear.
Shout out to Kamala though, by the way, who had a non-finish match with ROH World Champion. Oh, excuse me, Tony Khan owned ROH World Champion Bryan Danielson. Like, did you ever watch that?
It's so fucking wild. Like, if I ever got to like interview or be in the same area as Bryan Danielson, it is to ask him about that. I'd be like, "Yo, you wrestled Kamala."
The most random, and it was like during like his best stint as champion too. You know what? You know, we don't have anyone for you. How about Kamala?
We got to fill some time here this month, Daniel. Do you just want to beat? It's fucking. You want to wrestle Kamala, Kamala the Ugandan giant? Mr. Danielson, you've main evented WrestleMania. You have overtaken arenas. You've transcended from sports entertainment to sports with people chanting yes, like, and attributing it to you. Fuck all that. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about when you wrestled Kamala the Ugandan giant for the Ring of Honor world title. Like, what? Like, fuck all that. Like, everybody else can talk about that. I want to talk about you wrestling Kamala. Like, what the fuck? God. Again, so the Undertaker, like I said, there's more to it. So he has a casket matches. We actually covered it for Dorkside, his casket match against Yokozuna at the 1994 Royal Rumble, where Paul Bearer loses the urn that controls the Undertaker, that gives the Undertaker power. Forgot to tell you that. Paul Bearer walks around with a giant urn that controls and empowers the Undertaker. Okay. So, like, the Undertaker be like knocked down and he'd be getting his ass whooped, and then Paul Bearer would like raise it to the sky, and the Undertaker would sit up and just start beating people up, like as if nothing would happen. But Yokozuna, deathly afraid of caskets, and I understand that because, I mean, he was like a 600-pound man. Tight spaces are probably not fun for him. But during the course of the match, his Yokozuna's managers get the urn, give it to Yokozuna. Yokozuna knocks Undertaker out with it, and then opens it up, and this green mist comes flowing out of the urn. And then the Undertaker gets put in the casket, and they're pushing the casket up the ramp like it's a trophy, and then green mist comes flowing out of the casket. And then the Undertaker appears on the screen, and he's like, "I will not rest in peace. I will be back." And then he ascends to the heavens.
That whole thing, that whole idea of like I will not rest in peace. It's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That is like a stellar. I don't know. That's showmanship right there. That to me is like that is the Mike Awesome level of of showmanship. You know.
So when the Undertaker comes back, how do you think he comes back? Like after ascending to the heavens.
I assume they literally that he is straight up actually is brought down on via wire to the ring. That would be the only thing I could think of.
You're a couple years off. He does do that in 1996. In 1994, he comes back. He comes back to face himself. And Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun is going to crack the case of where the Undertaker is.
Oh my
and who
God.
And who has the real Undertaker, because the entire crux of the story is Paul Bearer says the Undertaker is coming back, but only after the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, is like, I have The Undertaker. He's coming back at SummerSlam. And Paul Bearer's like, no, I have The Undertaker. He's coming back at, like, he's going to beat your Undertaker. So there's an Undertaker versus Undertaker match at SummerSlam. And they find a guy who is, like, almost the exact same guy as Mark Calloway to be the Underfaker.
Okay, that is... Okay, you bring in someone as, like... I don't know, incredible, and someone I idolize, which is Leslie Nielsen. I had no idea that he was even had a storyline in WWF. That's fantastic to me. I assume is he playing like that same?
Yes, he's playing the same character from the Naked Gun.
Excellent, excellent.
Then what? So 95. He doesn't do much. He feuds with Ted DiBiase for like and his group for like a full year, and then he's attacked by a madman named Mankind, and they have a match. They have a match that's in a boiler room. They have a match in like they have like a brutal like just a cat, like he wrestles. Mankind has a mommy kink with another man's like valet, but that's Goldust. So they're just two weirdos with a insanely hot like director wife woman, and he just keeps calling her mommy. So the Undertaker has a casket match with Goldust, and then he has a buried alive match with Mankind where he's buried alive, but he wins, but he ends up getting buried alive anyways. It's weird. So he gets buried alive, he disappears, he comes back, and like a month later. This is
around the time that Paul Bearer decides to align himself with Mankind, right?
Yeah. He turns on the Undertaker and aligns with Mankind, and then they like have this beef a little bit. He ends up wrestling another guy, and then everything's like normal, quote unquote, right? For this. And this is the point where Undertaker stops being this dead man. And it's around the same time that he's buried alive. So he's quite literally buried to become alive. Paul Bearer goes like, hey, like your brother's alive. And everybody's like, excuse me? What do you mean? The Undertaker has a brother? He's dead. How does he have a brother? First off, what do you mean he's got a brother? And what do you mean he's alive? I'm confused. And then the Undertaker's like, yeah, so when I was a kid, my parents ran a funeral home, or like a funeral home with a cremation oven, and it went up in flames, and I was the only person to survive it. And I lived with that survivor's guilt for the rest of my life. Like, I've lived with this forever. My brother Kane died. And that's when Paul Bearer's like, nah, Kane's alive. He's alive. He's absolutely alive. And Undertaker's like, shut the fuck up. You're lying. And he's like, he's alive, and he's coming for you. And now you know Kane because he scared the ever-living shit out of you, as he did with many of us. He debuts in a first-ever match called Hell in a Cell between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. And he rips the door off of the cell. And it was this whole thing of like, no one can get in, no one's getting out of this thing, and he walks in, rips the door off the fucking hinges, eyes him up, and then drops him on his head, and then walks out.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's when he becomes a real person. So he was dead for the first like 6 years of his career, and then he became alive to have a feud with his brother, where they attempted to set each other on fire.
Yeah, kind of makes that kind of chalks up my understanding of wrestling. You know, that didn't make anything less confusing. I can tell you that much. I think what's amazing is like how much there's like, I think I didn't know this until now, was like eras of like their career where it's like it wasn't, you know, you explained like Undertaker, it's like, well, this is when he was like dead and then alive, and then there's, I don't know, this like storyline, this like that goes over their entire career while also fully changing. in a sense of their characters, where like in a normal story that wouldn't exist. You can't just change, but it seems that they, or rather change so significantly, but they do. And that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They have that ability to do that.
Yeah, he ends up from there, wrestles with his brother, becomes a cult leader, becomes a satanic cult leader.
Who doesn't want that?
Aligns with the boss. He sells out to become a corporate satanic cult leader. Gets hurt, goes away for a couple months, comes back as a leather jacket, denim jean vest wearing, tobacco chewing, redneck biker dude. Does that for a couple years. Gets buried alive again by Kane, who at this point has unmasked. And in the same night, sent Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon's son, to the hospital in an ambulance, which ended a feud where he also set Shane McMahon's testicles on fire with a car battery. And Shane McMahon attempted to murder him by putting a cinder block on the gas pedal of a limo and sent the limo into a truck. And then Undertaker comes back.
I just have to say, we were talking about a guy who got his bus graffitied and beat up clowns to, so this guy also just started trying to actually murder someone with cinder blocks. This is a very different wrestling. Like, how many years different was Mike Awesome?
Mike Awesome, yeah.
To this level of Undertaker setting people's balls on fire.
3 years.
Three years.
Really? Wow. So really decades is what you're telling me.
That's the thing. Wrestling, time is a flat circle in pro wrestling because you're just like, we went from like, fighting clowns to simulated murder. That must have been years, right? 3 years.
3 years. Like, that to me would have been like, this is like a 20-year story in my eyes. In reality, it's not.
I mean, at the same time as Mike Awesome fighting clowns, rapping clowns, on the other side of the channel, WWF, they're doing the whole story of who hit Steve Austin with a car.
Oh, I do remember that.
Mm-hmm. And it was Rikishi, because he did it
he
for
did
the
it
people.
for The Rock.
And I did it for The Rock. Which, in a vacuum, that's very good storytelling. Hey, I hit that motherfucker with a car so that one of our people would have a chance to be atop the card. One of us Samoans. I did it for family. But it's just the fact that it was Rikishi who did it. But also Rikishi got chokeslammed off of a cell, much like Mankind, but it was he was chokeslammed into a truck with a bunch of hay in it.
Hay?
Yeah,
That's not.
Very random too.
Very.
You go back and watch that match. Like, why the hell did they even hey, bring this out? And
Well,
it was just this.
So Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson were instructed to make sure nobody they're like no one's getting out of the they're making sure that I think they were trying to make sure that The Rock didn't get out of it. I don't know. I think that was the crux of it. But somehow Rikishi and The Undertaker got out, and the two biggest men in the match, one being close to 400 pounds, climbed up top so that he got chokeslammed off of it onto the truck, which probably had a bunch of fucking padding on it. I'm just trying to think of what else happened in those 3 years. I mean, Triple H was kind of racist. Definitely was racist on camera. Told Booker T that people like him don't get to win championships.
Well, that's not. That's problematic in 2022.
Oh, that's right. Also, what happened? Hulk Hogan tried to kill The Rock with a semi-truck.
And I'm now, my knowledge of wrestling is not that much, but I also want to say that I would not put it past Hulk Hogan to do that in real life.
Yeah.
You took Scorpion King away from me, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vehicles blown up during that time period.
dude. Like,
say.
I mean, I forget who it was. I think it was Bruce Pritchard, who is like was at the time and now again is like head member of the creative for WWE. But he basically said that like they showed up every week to TV in like the Attitude Era and were like, what can we destroy this week? Like what can Stone Cold destroy this week? Oh, he can destroy a Corvette with a cement truck. Let's fucking do it. Oh, he can drop a fucking wrecking ball on a tour bus. Let's fucking do it. He's driving a Zamboni. Let's fucking do it. A beer truck. Let's fucking do it. Monster truck. Let's do it. Doesn't matter. Anything. Can we get? Can he drive it? You know. It's just wild that it's just like I explained a single person's career up to the halfway point of their career. Like The Undertaker wrestled until 2020, and we only explained to 2004.
See, that to me is insane. That, like, once again, like we said, like it's just crazy how much happens. But I guess each week, right? Like something can go on. It's happening so often that you're not like, you know, these storylines can be built for a long time. I don't know enough about like their TV scheduling. Are there off seasons, or is this a every week kind of deal?
It's every week.
So you have way more time to build storylines within a year than you would a normal show, like anything else. You can fully develop and change and you know, identity swap and all of that. I mean, like I'm saying this as someone, I have multiple Wikipedia pages open of everyone you've now commented on, and I'm just like, why are there so many ring names of every wrestler? They all have 20 of them. And I'm like, and I understand some of them might be because before they were in, you know, they found their right character. I know that like The Rock wasn't always The Rock. Mm-hmm. And so like I look back and then, you know, you're talking to me about The Undertaker and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Hold on. So the Undertaker's a person, but then he had identities of like Dead Man identity and American Badass. What the fuck? How deep does this go? Like I just read, just as we were talking, I just saw the term he became the Holy Trinity, and I went, I am beyond understanding of what this could be. The Unholy Trinity. It's insane to me. I can't. Oh man, that is just, it's nuts. And I should say, and I know we're not talking about him, and I know we didn't, you know, we barely kind of scratched the surface, and we do not need to get into it. I just need to, I know you all know this. Kane is the mayor of a town. Like, the guy in the mask is a mayor of it. He is a public, it's not a public figure in terms of I do porn now. It's the public figure of I actually make decisions for a city. Like, that's insane to me.
Also, don't go to his Twitter page.
Yeah, don't do that, because the irony is the guy who's known for wearing a mask does not like wearing masks.
That actually is fantastic. That makes things so much better. Like, honestly, well, okay, to be fair though, his mask really didn't cover the part that he really needed them to. So
that's true.
You know, he's got a point. You know, he has stayed true to the mask he likes to wear.
That is true. Yeah, no, like the thing is like let's see, I watch about 3 hours on Monday. I watch about an hour on Tuesday. 2 hours on Tuesday. I watch 2 hours on Wednesday. I watch 2 hours on Thursday. I watch 2 hours on Friday, maybe 3.
Let me ask you this. You actually sit down and watch Monday Night Raw?
Yeah.
Live?
Yeah.
Bless you.
Yeah. Bro, I love wrestling. Like this is why I made the dork side, because like I enjoy pro wrestling, faults and all, right? And it reminds me, it's a weekly reminder to people who are listening that like wrestling is fucking stupid. Like the idea that there are scantily clad men who are varying degrees of oil and tan grappling each other for minutes on end because they disagreed with each other at one point. Like, that's the basis of like all wrestling. Like this Sunday, there will be a dog collar match between MJF and CM Punk. There will be blood, all because MJF looked up to CM Punk, got jealous of CM Punk, and CM Punk took disrespect from what MJF has been as a human being. Like, it is very stupid that's what it's like. They had a disagreement, and now they're going to be chained to each other by the neck, and they're going to make each other bleed. That is objectively dumb. However, in pro wrestling, it's fucking amazing. It's going to be great. It's going to be very enjoyable. And it's like a reminder that, like, even when wrestling is bad, if you don't enjoy it, then you just stop enjoying it, and that's fine. My thing has always been, and like Vaughn, I think this encompasses and sums up your fandom, is like, you enjoy what you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to spend energy on something you don't enjoy. You'll check in, maybe, hey, it gets a little bit better. Hey, maybe I can tolerate this a little bit more. Maybe I can't. But like, I mean, I don't see you going on Twitter for 40-minute rants about how, WWE booked a very dumb angle, and they spent that time doing that when, they could be giving. So you just go, hey, look, like, I think they could be using their time better. And
yeah, there's silver lining to everything. I always look at the bright side of things and say that the product's not for whatever angles that they're doing right now. It's not for me. Their target audience is different, and then you put audience in quotes because it's not fans that they're trying to
correct.
Get their eyes on the product. It's investors, it's sponsors, et cetera, and to allude, like, the only reason I said, like, wow, you sit there and watch Raw for 3 hours, it's more so like a time thing. Like,
oh yeah,
I just couldn't. The program is way too long. So what I do these days is I'll wait for somebody to put up a highlight, which is condensed to like 40-45 minutes maybe, and watch that on YouTube before it gets taken down for copyright infringement. And then the next day, I listen to Post Wrestling, my favorite podcast, and they'll pretty much sum up the news of what happened, and they'll review Raw. And that's how I consume Monday Night Raw these days. I'll definitely always tune in to pay-per-views.
Yep.
And right now it's like Dynamite, because Dynamite's fun to watch. But other than that, everything else is almost like just listen to what Post Wrestling says, and if a segment or a match actually gets a lot of buzz, then I'll go out of my way to try to catch that segment.
Yeah, I'm a sicko. I'm absolutely a sicko. Like I said, 10 hours a week plus. Like, that's not even including independent wrestling.
Yeah, there's too much. There's way too much wrestling.
I probably don't average that in a week per se, but over the course of a month, that's probably what I average. Is like, oh hey, like, I would have like, all right, cool, like, I missed last week's Raw. Like, Hulu does a great job of, like, they just cut out the bullshit, and they're like, hey, here's the hour and a half version that is good.
Right.
So that's pretty good. But like, SmackDown has been really good. I mean, Roman Reigns is a manipulative, toxic person. He has gone completely over the edge, and it's incredible.
Yeah, he's on the run of a lifetime.
He's not setting people on fire or ascending to the ceiling. But I mean, he's telling his cousin that he loves him, and then he's choking him the fuck out. So,
or he's choking out Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, and then as Rey's on the ground, he looks at him. The best thing that Roman ever did was he wished him a happy Father's Day after choking him out.
He's toxic. He literally cried because he cried because to remain the champion, he was going to have to murder his other cousin to murder one cousin to have his other cousin give up in the match. He also hit a man with a golf cart and was unfazed by it.
Oh yeah.
He pinned two men at the same time. at the main event of WrestleMania after saying that that's what he was going to do.
We're talking about wrestling and at the courier system OnlyFans, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. I had a joke about pinning two men at the same time, but then I wasn't gonna say it just because.
Is that on the OnlyFans? Is that in the OnlyFans box?
That's on the old. Yeah. That's the ultra. That's the ultra
comes in
rare.
those mystery boxes.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool though that like there's such a passion for it. Because I mean, as a casual, as like someone who doesn't know anything about it, who never really got into wrestling, and seeing like, oh yeah, no, like I will watch hours of it, like. And you said it. You said you're like, well, it is dumb, and it's like, yeah, but also like there are people who watch Riverdale, and I am one of those people. I want to make that very clear. Like, it is drama, comedy, kind of soap opera, like it kind of is in that side of like of storytelling. That's the same as every show that exists that is the same thing. I proudly talk about my love of teen dramas. Are you kidding me?
Have you watched Bel Air?
Not yet. No, it's on the list to watch.
It's on the cock.
Been watching tons. Oh, trust me.
Cock.
I can't. I have to watch it. As such a fan of Fresh Prince, and also I remember seeing the original trailer for it. Like the fan trailer that was made that turned into a show. To me, I will support that shit forever because I love that idea. I love the fact that someone made a fan trailer and then it actually became a show because it was well made.
And that I hate this is a rabbit hole and a half to go down, but I'll just keep it simple. It's like I hate when people were like, they've run out of ideas. Like, no, this is like people were comparing it to like the Powerpuff live action show that was going on. They're like, can't believe they're just rehashing nostalgia. And it's like, well, one of these things is an obvious cash grab that has no heart to it, and the other one is all heart. Like,
it's all passion. It's all like, I think it's crazy that someone would be like, well, this is a cash grab. I was like, and I have heard people talk about this. I know this has nothing to do with wrestling, but it's seriously, like, it's insane to me that people have this problem of like, oh, it's just the same old stuff. It's like, no, there can be a reimagining and a complete reinvention. Like it's a different style. It's the characters are the same. Like the character names are the same, but I do not believe that this show feels the same as Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I'll tell you that. I can tell you that without ever seeing it, it will not feel the exact same how you would watch the original show, because it is two different shows.
It's funny that you say that has nothing to do with wrestling, but Vaughn, like that describes wrestling for the last 20 years is just rehashing things.
Oh yeah. To
varying degrees, obviously. It's like some things are very bad, but
Or just like the old trope of we're not doing well enough with our current crop of talent. Let's just continue to bring in Bill Goldberg.
Boy, yeah. No, it was good for the first time and the second time, and then it wasn't. I mean, like, we're getting Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the third time in 7 years.
Do you think that's because? Like, I don't know about viewership or anything like that, but is there a decline? Has there been a decline in viewership, and is that why they're bringing like these? And I'm gonna be very clear about this.
Yeah.
These grandfathers to wrestle instead of like new, up and comers, because it's just not as much of a draw, and so to get viewership, like bring Brock Lesnar in. That's like crazy fucking steroid abusing man who's like a giant. Will of course do it because he's like what is he, 52 probably?
Brock is 44.
Okay,
no, he's not 40. He's not 44.
He's 44 years of age.
No. He's got to be like 48, 49. Hold on here. Hold on. I'm gonna be floored here.
His birthday, July 12th, 1977. He is
Get the
44
fuck out of
years
here.
Of age. Yeah,
good lord.
That's. You know what? Shout out to Brock Lesnar.
I mean,
you are younger than I thought you were.
I mean, it makes sense. He won the title when he was 25, and that was in 2002, which was 20 years ago. Like, it's just wild to me. to answer your question, and Vaughn, you can give your perspective on it because I don't think anybody has the definite answer. He's a marketable name, and he's also entertaining as fuck. And it's like he's the anomaly because they'll do that occasionally where they'll be like, "Hey, we're relying on old names like Bill Goldberg as just on their name recognition, but their performance does not warrant the position that they're getting." And that's not the case with Brock. Like Brock, they've actually like this is a weird like they've told this story for 7 years of Brock basically owning Roman Reigns, and now Roman Reigns is on this level that no one has been on in quite some time in WWE. And here comes Brock Lesnar, the last hurdle that he has. He's conquered every other demon that he's ever had. He beat Daniel Bryan, who was the guy who the fans wanted over him. He beat John Cena, who was the face of the company. He is now the face of the company. He's beaten every challenger he's had, and now is the last major hurdle for him, and his legacy is beating the guy that he's never quite been able to beat. He beat him once, but every moment, especially the biggest moments like WrestleMania, he comes up short. And this is the time for him to not come up short. So in a story-wise sense, it lines up, it makes sense. Business-wise, you can't. There's not many bigger names in the field than Brock Lesnar. So, like Vaughn, what do you think?
Brock just transcends sports because he's a once in a lifetime athlete. You know, a big, fresh, hungry kid who could do anything. It's just nobody else matches up to him. Even when they put him up, when he came back, you know, he was working Taker and he was working Cena, he was working Hunter. People that, you know, from the old era like kept him down, but once he demolished Cena at SummerSlam, like I don't think there's anyone else in the company that has come up that's seen on the same level as him. So the fans just perceive like they just can't get behind anyone because when you put him up against Brock, he just destroys them.
Mm.
That's a fair point. I mean, my knowledge of Brock Lesnar obviously was also from wrestling, and then since then and where I work now has been UFC heavy. But he's a strong lad. Hey, he's a big boy.
He is. I like that.
First guy, I think, ever to wear 4X gloves in the UFC.
Yeah, he had big meaty paws.
Yeah, he is. He is a dense person.
He's not as dense as that Chianti guy. That Chianti guy was. I tried lifting that Chianti guy, and he felt like he was very dense human being.
He's deceivingly dense. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Also, fun fact: Brock Lesnar, without ever playing football past like middle school, was like the last person cut from making the Minnesota Vikings. Also, he was wearing the number 69. He's just one of us.
Shout out to the number 69.
Nice. But yeah, it just comes down to, you know, wrestling is a promotion, and you have to promote big names that people are willing to spend money on. And WWE's at a point where people just go despite hating it, and it's the weirdest thing I've ever fucking seen. Like they'll spend hundreds of dollars to get a good ticket, and then just spend the night being disruptive and not enjoying what they're seeing. And it's like you could have saved a couple $100 and not gone. Like you could have and you would have had a better time.
Man, I was at the last pay-per-view. I was there live. The last pay-per-view before, you know, the pandemic shut everything down. Elimination Chamber 2020
in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, I was there. My friend, we were supposed to go to a Washington Nationals game, and then he's like, instead of going to DC, we started driving to Philly, and I'm like, where are you going? He's like, no, it's a surprise. And we got tickets like right on near the ramp. If you actually watch, because if you actually watch the pre-show, I think it's like Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers, and Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona versus I think the Viking Raiders. and like I'm like right in Cardona's face as they're coming out. But that's like the only time I was on the broadcast. Point being, though, you know, Philly is known as a pretty good wrestling town, and man, those people were just quiet. That was the quietest. It was bizarre how quiet the crowd was for that entire show.
Yeah.
And it's an elimination chamber. It's like a gimmick match that people actually want to tune into, and nobody gave a damn.
Yeah. Oh, before we go, I did want to bring. Now that you bring that up, fun fact: WB has a match and event called Elimination Chamber. Due to the fact that it's called the Elimination Chamber, Germany calls it No Way Out. And then WWE ran in 2013, and they used to run an event called No Way Out. And then they didn't. They replaced it with Elimination Chamber. So Germany just kept calling it No Way Out. So then when WWE ran a No Way Out event later in the same year as an Elimination Chamber event, Germany was like, fuck, what are we calling this? No Escape.
Yeah, probably a good call for Germany there.
Yeah.
Just a good idea. That I laugh because that is actually like, you know, there is something very comical about that. Like there is something very funny about just like elimination match. Oh, never mind, Germany. Maybe not you. Yeah, maybe not you.
You will have the No Escape. You'll have the No Way Out match. Like,
you had some problems in the past with that, so let's keep you away from that.
And I think that's what drives a lot of WWE's thinking is they're doing it to like they're a global company. They have television translated in 40 different languages, aired in 200 some odd countries. Like
no longer airing in Russia.
No longer. Yeah. Hey, look, we'll hold an event called Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia, but Russia will not be able to watch our content.
Well, now Saudi Arabia has never done anything wrong, right? I'm pretty sure. Hey, you know what? Let's not talk about it. We're gonna get canceled from Saudi Arabia, and that's a whole thing.
It's wild. Lasting impressions from the Mike Awesome versus ICP and Vampiro feud. Shay, we'll start with you.
I forgot Vampiro was a part of that. I completely ignored everything about him. It did not matter at all. It turns out I don't even know if Vampiro is actually part of ICP or if he was just a wrestler and then the ICP guys were like, well, he wears makeup, so we will too. Either way, love Mike Awesome. Love the name Mike Awesome. Hate the bus unless it had graffiti on it. Kind of wish the ICP guy, not because I want someone to get hurt, but it would have been funnier if he did land like maybe a foot back and he would have like his body would have hit the stage and then he would have crumpled. But that's just my, horrific mind.
No, I mean, give it 10 out of 10 train wreck. We got 9 out of 10 though. Vaughn, what about you? Lasting impressions?
Well, first and foremost, it's always really fun to have somebody here who doesn't have the same fandom as we do with wrestling, and to hear his thoughts and impressions, especially during a time period that we don't think fondly of, right? Again, man, like seeing Mike Awesome being treated that way, put into doing his best to get this gimmick over that was never going to get over, was just it was such a treat. And just the match against a guy in Vampiro who we both know wouldn't take a bump to save his life was hilarious. It's like, man, he did all these hardcore matches. He was part of ICP. He had a trilogy of stinkers against Sting. WCW 2000 was just what a time to be alive.
Okay. I like that. Good. I do. I love that the having somebody who doesn't have the same basis and understanding and background and history with it it's such a nice touch that I appreciate you noticing as somebody who it's just like, all right, like, yeah, no, this was shit. This was absolute for me and you, Vaughn, this was utter garbage. This was garbage. However, it was fun garbage, and sharing the fun garbage with somebody who didn't know it was garbage, and just being like, this man did cocaine and then fought clowns. This is great. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. He did just do a line of cocaine and just fight clowns. Yeah, that makes this not garbage. That feels good. That gives me the warm feels. That's why I was like, ooh.
it honestly makes me realize how hilarious wrestling can be in that sense.
Yeah.
Like it's
It's a weekly reminder for my listeners, and every couple of weeks for me is getting people who aren't wrestling fans. And my favorite thing is being like, hey, like I messaged you, Shay. I was like, hey, do you want to be on the dork side of the ring? You're like, I don't know anything about wrestling, but sure. And I'm like, perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want at least one person who doesn't know what the fuck is going on so that they can ask the questions of like, hey, so is this like normal? And it's like, whew, yes, but also no. Yeah. We're going to wrap up here. We're going to leave. But before we leave, I would like you guys one more time, tell the people where they can find you, plug your stuff, plug any causes or charities or anything that, are close to home, or anything you would like to, impart to the listeners before you go. We'll start with you, Vaughn. The floor is yours.
Yeah, sure. You guys can find me over at twitch.tv/ThereCanOnlyBeVaughn if you're into PlayStation content. I mostly play on console there, so anything and everything that's Sony first party will be played. Over on Twitter, on Vaughn on Twitch. I do randomly post a lot of wrestling stuff and share GIFs daily with whatever's going on in the crazy world of wrestling. And just put a plug out to Post Wrestling. So if anyone listens to this, check out that podcast as well. They're fantastic guys over there. Wei Ting and John Pollock. Those guys put in a tremendous amount of work. So for the fandom here, loving pro wrestling. So.
Oh yeah, love it. Shay, what about you, pal?
Yeah, if you just want to talk about your favorite teen drama, or just get a recap of what happened last week on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, you can go to my live stream, twitch.tv/Shay. This, in all honesty, I actually have been considering coming back to streaming. I haven't done it in years, but I thought, you know what? Why not? I got some free time now. It works a little bit, works easier. Got a handle on it, so hoping to make a splash and just kind of enjoy it again. After a few years off. Socials, it's I am a Shay Woods, as I'm not the only, but I am a Shay Woods. There's probably many. And that is not a joke. If you ever want to talk about The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, you can absolutely DM me. I would love that. That and musicals. That's really all I would want to talk about if I could. But turns out no one ever wants to talk to me about either one of those. So
I'm actually behind. I got to start season 3.
Oh yeah, season 3 is all right. Season 4. Wait, no, are we on season 4? Yeah, we're on season 4. Yeah, it's good. I can't recommend it enough. I recommend it to everyone. Everyone I talk to, people on the street, I have told them about it, and they will consistently ignore me. But that's okay.
You know what? There you go. When you're going back to your alma mater to take down the picture of Chris Jericho, and you're getting put in the back of the paddy wagon, as the doors close, we'll hear 3 things. Go watch The Marvelous Miss Maisel. Use your Twitch Prime on twitch.tv/Keontae, and fuck affiliates.
Yeah, fuck affiliates. That's what Keontae would say. Which I, of course, am not anymore. So, that's that hateful, spiteful, potentially problematic person named Keontae.
Still can't believe Tumble did that. It just every little factor that had to go into where he was A, at TwitchCon, B, wearing your partner badge, and C, happening to come across somebody streaming live from the convention, and D, them being on the front page to hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, definitely not. I will never bet with Tumble on let's swap cards and see who can be rude to people and get them to hate us ever again.
He
did
that at 9 a.m. He had all day to ruin your reputation. He did that at 9 and said, "I'm good."
The best part is I went and did interviews during that with people, like with like companies, and like I was just kind of being a little bit dickish, but like that was it, right? And I just kept saying my name was Tumble.
Wait,
but like I wasn't that bad.
Was that that was the same day me and you were going around taste testing all the energy supplements, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did those. Like we were like in the morning. I think I started with like I had like a couple like things I had to do like on stage, and so I wore his badge and said it was me. Because if there's one thing you should know about like doing content creation is that networking as someone not you is probably the best way to grow. is not telling people your actual name, so they'll never be able to find you, is the best way to grow your channel. Just have FYI. And yeah, Vaughn, we did go taste every energy.
Vaughn, we went to all 13 supplement booths in the span of
never have enough supplement booths at a gaming convention.
No,
let me tell you, energy gummies aren't great.
Dude, they were garbage.
Yeah, they were trash. I was vibrating on a straight up on like a biblical frequency. Like I transcended human existence that day.
We saved the bang for last. Like the free bang can.
Yeah. I would love to make this very public, and I'm glad I have a platform to do this on this podcast. The only good thing about Bang are the hot women serving you Bang at those conventions. Bang is a dog shit energy drink no one should ever put in their mouth.
Man, you just screwed the bag. Like Dan Blazarian is never going to come onto the dork set. Damn,
that was,
man.
but that is me saying this. Tumbledore. That is me saying this. Also, I hate women. Once again, my name is Tumbledore. My name is Tumbledore.
Now the biggest bit would for me to put that Tumbledore returns to the Dork Side of the Ring, this time alongside There Can Only Be Vaughn.
Oh, it makes me sad that I didn't think of this earlier. I really should have come as Tumbledore and just like not said anything to him. Oh, it would have been perfect.
Yeah. Well, you'll come on again in the future. And so now I kind of want to get you guys on at the same time and be like, hey, like just do the bit where you're Chianti to him and then you're Tumble to him, and then be like, hey guys, so welcome. We've got Tumbledore and my friends Tumbledore and Shay on, and then you guys will be like, fuck.
You will not be able to air that episode. It will not be good.
Yeah, no, yeah. The lengths to go. It would just I would just record it and be like, all right, I got them both on, and be like, look, this is the voice of Twitch.tv's Tumbledore saying this, despite him saying it'd be the ultimate blackmail episode.
Yeah, it really would. Yeah. It would escalate too fast.
I mean, you ended it by saying I Tumbledore hate women.
Yeah, that is not as far as we would go to ruin each other's lives as a joke.
Insane, incredible. Thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. I've kept you well past the 2 hours that I said I was going to keep you here for, but thank you guys. I love you guys, and I cannot wait to have you on again in the future.
Love you too.
Oh yeah, brother.
Thank you, Shay. Thank you, Vaughn. Appreciate it, guys, for coming on, having a good time, being fantastic guests. I really do have to get this a handle on the thing. I'd be just making your eardrums just too overjoyed with the good feels, the good hangs, the good talks here on the Dark Side of the Ring. Thank you. Go give them follows again. Follow what they're doing and what they're working on. Yeah, that's all I got for this week. Next week's episode, currently not recorded. So if it does not get recorded, it's okay, because I do have 2 or 3 things I can throw together for some dork side for next week's episode. But I should get at least one recorded. I don't know what it is. Either we're going to be talking about Katie Vick with my friends PDR and McKay from the CPF chat, or I'm going to be talking about, and so now you'll know the next 2 episodes, the week following that, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick the Model Martel from WrestleMania 7 in a blindfolded match. is a lot of fun. That one, the second one, will be with my friends from Twitch.tv who are local to me in Philadelphia. Elliot Face and Kevin Spicy doing the good hangs with good friends. That is the plan for the next 2 weeks. After that, we've got a couple other topics with some new faces, and after that, it is clear sailing to Phase 2 video podcast coming up. Familiar faces you're going to see again, and just overall a good time ahead of us. I thank you guys. The journey that we have been taking and continue to take here on Dark Side of the Ring and on Grum.tv has been just satisfying, creatively satisfying, especially like during some times where it's like I don't really have that much drive to be creative. It's good to be like, yeah, but I can put out content still. I can put out me and my friends hanging out. Apologies for yawning. Again, like I said, I was at the Sixers game last night. Did not get home till later, and spent a whole several hours just cheering and being happy and hanging out with Katie. It was a good time. I love you, babe. Thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next week. It is myself and one of those two topics. Either we're going to talk about Katie Vick with PDR and McKay, or we're going to talk about Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick the Model Martel in a blindfolded match from WrestleMania 7 with Ellie Face and Kevin Spicy. Continue to follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at Dorkside Ring. The video podcast aspect is definitely going to help us because we'll be able to put out easier content that I won't have to edit myself from scratch to do. Dorkside Ring on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow me at I am Grum on Twitter and on Instagram if you don't already. Grum.tv is the community Discord for all my content, like the Dark Side of the Ring and my YouTube, which you can find it if you search T Grum on YouTube. Also there, I do live streams at least once a week, provided I have the time to do so. I'm going to start playing Elden Ring this week, I think. I think Friday because I got work, so I got work Saturday, so I'll probably do that. That'll probably be. I also have to finish tiering the Pokemon list, which I did somewhat. I didn't finish, but I need to finish. Yeah, that's it. Oh, support.grum.tv is the Patreon, right? Continue. I know you heard if you didn't skip through, there's a preview of the watch along that myself, It's Only Jill, and Mop Guardian did, and that's about it. That's all I got for y'all. So thank you guys again for being here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast with me and Shay and Vaughn, but most importantly, you, the loyal listener. Thank you so much. Until next time, I am Grum, and I will be seeing you guys next time where we don't take wrestling as serious, because wrestling is better when no one is taking it seriously. This has been the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. I am Grun. Thank you. I'll see you next week here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast.